Ready for another deep dive. Today we're exploring something pretty amazing, Indian bronze sculpture.
A vast and fascinating topic for sure.
It really is. We're talking about a history that goes back thousands of years. Incredible artistry.
And a journey through India's cultural evolution.
Exactly. Anyone who's into art or history, this one's for you.
Especially if you're prepping for those UPSC exams, this is right up your alley.
Definitely relevant for the GS1 Art and Culture syllabus.
But even if exams are a distant memory,
Or not even on your radar.
it's a 5,000-year-old tradition.
Who wouldn't be intrigued by that? We're talking about a bronze figurine, the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro.
2500 BCE, that's how far back we're going.
Not just art, it's evidence of something pretty remarkable.
The lost wax process.
A sophisticated bronze casting technique.
Thriving already in the Indus Valley civilization.
And get this, the lost wax process is still practiced today.
Even in some tribal communities.
Talk about a connection to the past. For those who haven't seen it in action, can we break down how it works?
Sure, you start with a wax model.
Okay, so you sculpt the figure you want in wax. Then what?
You coat it meticulously in clay.
So the wax figure is completely encased in clay.
Exactly. And then comes the heating process.
To melt the wax out.
You got it. Leaves a hollow mold. Then molten bronze is poured in.
And there you have it, a bronze sculpture. The Indus Valley civilization had mastered this thousands of years ago. It's mind-blowing. What other bronze treasures did they leave behind?
Well, aside from the dancing girl, we have the Daimabad chariot.
Also from that period.
Yes, discovered in Maharashtra.
This chariot, what's special about it?
It depicts bulls, the chariot itself, and the driver.
But in a stylized way.
Exactly, capturing the essence, not intricate details.
So they were focusing on conveying the idea rather than photorealism.
Precisely. It's about the soul of the subject. And these early bronzes weren't just art for art's sake.
They were functional too.
Oh, absolutely. Tools, vessels, they tell us about their daily lives.
And their technology.
But over time, we see a shift.
From the practical to the symbolic.
From utilitarian objects to religious icons.
So their art was mirroring their spiritual evolution.
Exactly. This leads us to the world of Jain bronzes.
Okay, Jain bronzes. For those not familiar with Jainism, can you give us a quick primer? Who are the key figures we'll encounter?
The most revered figures are the Tirthankaras,
Tirthankaras, and they are.
spiritual leaders who have achieved enlightenment.
And they guide others towards that path.
Exactly. And their bronze depictions are fascinating. They really show a growing mastery of the human form.
So we're moving away from those stylized representations of the Indus Valley toward more detailed human-centric figures.
You got it. Some of the earliest examples of Jain bronzes come from Chausa.
Chausa, and where is that?
In Bihar, dating back to around the 2nd century CE, what's interesting is how they're portrayed, often in a meditative pose.
Emphasizing their spiritual attainment.
You'll also notice specific details, like the long hairlocks of Abhinav,
Adinath, and who's that?
the first Tirthankara. It sets him apart visually.
Not just the technique, but also conveying these spiritual concepts.
Mhm.
Amazing. Were there any major discoveries that shed light on how Jain bronzes evolved?
Absolutely. The Akota hoard is a prime example.
The Akota hoard, and this was found.
In Gujarat, dating back to the 6th to 9th centuries, a literal treasure trove of Jain bronzes. It revealed the mastery of lost wax, but also the artistry.
In what way?
They used inlaying, silver, and copper for details. Imagine the skill required for such intricate work.
Wow. So we've gone from the Indus Valley to the exquisite details of Jain bronzes. Where does our bronze adventure go next?
Into what's often called the golden age of Indian art, the Gupta and post-Gupta periods, starting around the 5th century CE.
The Gupta period, I've always been fascinated by it. Seems like Indian art reached a whole new level then.
You're right. This is when we see the emergence of a new iconography, the standing Buddha image.
Yes. Often with the right hand raised.
In Abhaya Mudra.
The gesture of fearlessness, reassurance.
Exactly. And the Gupta aesthetic, that elegance and refinement, is evident in their bronze sculptures.
Any specific examples that stand out?
The monumental Buddha at Sultanganj,
Sultanganj, this is in Buga.
Bihar. It embodies the grandeur of the Gupta style. The figures, especially the Buddha, have a graceful serenity.
And a naturalism that sets them apart. I've always been curious, did different styles develop within the Gupta period?
Definitely. Two prominent schools emerged, Sarnath and Mathura.
Interesting. What set them apart?
The Sarnath style is known for its ethereal quality.
Ethereal in what way?
The Buddha's drapery is almost diaphanous, clinging to the body. Minimal folds, a sense of lightness.
A spiritual transcendence.
Exactly. The Mathura school, on the other hand, is more robust.
More grounded.
Yes, you see cascading folds in the drapery, giving a sense of weight, presence.
Amazing how those subtle differences in style convey such different feelings. And these Gupta bronzes weren't just confined to temples or monasteries, right?
You're right, they played a role in the spread of Buddhism.
Because they were portable,
Exactly. Monks and pilgrims could carry them to new regions.
spreading the teachings.
And the classical Gupta style.
It's incredible how art acts as a bridge between cultures. Okay, from the Indus Valley to the Guptas, we've covered a lot. What's next on our bronze expedition?
Next, we venture into the Himalayas, exploring the bronze traditions of Himachal Pradesh and Kashmir. Some truly stunning visuals await. Back to our bronze journey. From the Indus Valley civilization.
Through those Jain bronzes.
And the elegant Gupta period.
Now we're heading to the Himalayas.
Right. Himachal Pradesh and
Nice.
Kashmir.
Nestled in those mountains.
They developed their own style.
Drawing inspiration, I imagine, from their neighbors.
Tibet and Central Asia, for sure. And one thing that's really interesting is the iconography.
How so?
Well, remember how the Gupta period saw the rise of standing Buddha images?
Right.
In Himachal Pradesh and Kashmir, we see new Vishnu representations emerging.
Vishnu, like what?
One great example is Chaturana Vishnu,
Chaturana Vishnu.
a four-headed representation of Vishnu.
4 heads. That's wild.
Each face symbolizes a different aspect of him, 4 divine qualities in one sculpture.
I bet those sculptures are incredibly intricate.
Oh, the craftsmanship is remarkable. But the Himalayan bronzes don't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
We also see some really dynamic depictions of other deities, like Narasimha,
Narasimha, remind me.
Vishnu's man-lion avatar.
Right. Fierce.
And then there's Mahishasura Mardini Durga.
Slaying the buffalo demon.
It's like these sculptures are bringing those ancient myths to life.
Capturing the energy, the power.
You almost feel like you're witnessing a scene from a sacred text. This is what I find so captivating about art.
It's a window into beliefs, stories.
History of a culture.
So we've explored the Himalayas. Where does our bronze journey take us next?
Eastward. We encounter the Pala dynasty.
Ah, the Pala dynasty, ruling over Bengal and Bihar. What's their contribution to this bronze tradition?
Well, they flourished between the 8th and 12th centuries, and under their rule, there was a revival of the classical Gupta style in bronze casting.
A sort of artistic renaissance. Any examples?
The Kirkihar bronzes.
Kirkihar bronzes, where were these found?
Near Nalanda, a renowned center of Buddhist learning.
So what are the hallmarks of these Kirkihar bronzes? What sets them apart?
Well, one distinctive feature is the Tripanga posture.
Tripanga, meaning?
It's a 3-bend stance.
Giving the figures a sense of elegance and movement.
Exactly. Grace and power. A great example is the 4-armed Avalokiteshvara.
A bodhisattva, embodying compassion.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. During the Pala period, we also see the growing popularity of female deities.
Like Torah.
Yes, Tara, associated with protection and enlightenment.
Reflecting the rise of Vajrayana Buddhism. Right.
You got it. And Tara's bronze depictions, often seated on a lotus throne with one hand raised in Abhaya Mudra, became iconic.
So we've traveled from the Himalayas to the eastern regions and seen how different dynasties and beliefs shaped bronze sculpture. What's next on our adventure?
Now we're heading south, to a region that achieved the pinnacle of bronze casting, South India, during the Chola period. Get ready to be amazed.
South India, huh? The Chola period, I'm ready to be amazed.
You won't be disappointed. It was a time of great artistic flourishing.
And the Cholas, they were big supporters of the arts.
Oh yeah, powerful rulers, major patrons.
Especially when it came to bronze sculptures.
They were in a league of their own, world-renowned for their exquisite detail.
Graceful figures, right. And a real spiritual presence.
Yes, exactly.
I'm guessing we can't talk Chola bronzes without mentioning the Nataraja.
The dancing Shiva, it's an icon.
More than just a sculpture.
It's like a symbol.
Embodied in bronze.
Representing, well,
Cosmic creation and destruction.
the essence of Shiva's power.
I always get lost in the symbolism. Can we break down that pose?
Okay, so Shiva's in this dynamic dance pose, balanced on one leg.
4 arms outstretched.
Each element has a meaning.
Like his raised right hand. That's a Abhaya Mudra, right?
Offering protection.
Yeah.
The upper right hand holds a damaru,
Damaru.
a drum, symbolizing creation.
What about the other 2 hands?
Upper left hand, a flame. Destruction, the necessary counterpart to creation.
I see. And the lower left hand?
Points to the raised foot.
Symbolizing.
Liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death.
Wow. Oh, and what about that dwarf demon under Shiva's foot?
Ignorance being trampled upon. So much symbolism, right?
Incredible. So the Cholas really mastered depicting Shiva. Any other iconic sculptures they created?
Absolutely. They didn't stop with the Nataraja. They developed a whole range of Shiva iconography.
Like what?
Well, there's the Kalyana Sundaramurti,
Talyana Sundaramurti, what's that depicting?
Shiva's marriage to Parvati,
Oh, interesting.
celebration of divine union, and then there's the Ardhanarishvara Murti,
Another one I haven't heard of.
a composite form, half Shiva, half Parvati,
In a single body.
highlighting that duality of the divine.
Fascinating. So the Chola period was truly a golden age for bronze casting in South India. Did this tradition die out after the Chola Empire declined?
Not at all. It lives on,
Really?
especially in Kumbakonam, in Tamil Nadu,
Skilled artisans are still practicing the lost wax technique today,
creating bronze sculptures that are highly sought after.
keeping that ancient tradition alive. That's fantastic. So we've traveled from the Indus Valley to the present day. What an incredible journey through the world of bronze. Any final stops on our expedition?
One last stop. We can't forget the Vijayanagar period.
The Vijayanagar Empire, another powerful kingdom in South India. How did they contribute to bronze sculpture?
They brought something new to the table, portrait sculpture.
Portrait sculpture. So they started creating bronze statues of real people.
Exactly.
Who were these portraits of?
Well, some of the most famous ones are of Krishna Devaraya
One of the great Vijayanagar rulers.
and his two queens, Tirumalamba and Shinadevi. You can find these statues at the Tirupati temple,
Wow, so they were using bronze to preserve the memory of these rulers?
like a historical record in metal.
These sculptures, do they show realistic details? Or are they idealized?
It's a blend, individual features, but also a sense of grandeur.
That seems to be a recurring theme. Realism and the divine. The human and the spiritual.
From those early stylized forms to the elegant Guptas,
The dynamic whole.
the Vijayanagar portraits.
Indian artists have always strived to capture that inner essence.
It's amazing. Our journey through Indian bronze sculpture has shown just how powerful art can be,
Connecting us to the past.
embodying spiritual beliefs.
Capturing the human spirit.
It's been a real pleasure exploring this with you.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, I hope you're inspired to learn more about Indian art.
Oh, and one last thought. We focused on bronze,
Right.
but imagine how different materials can change a sculpture.
Stone. Terracotta.
Oh.
Each material has its own story to tell.
So keep exploring
Keep observing.
and keep appreciating the beauty of art.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Indian bronze sculpture.
Until next time.